Good evening and welcome to the last programme of the present series, and as we enter the final contest, nothing could be more exciting than having Ian trailing by just one game, but unfortunately he's trailing by 3, so excitement doesn't really come into it. In the news this week, after the latest round of BBC cutbacks, the Clothes Show is forced to amalgamate with Rugby Special. There's further proof of the westernisation of China as they launch their own version of Take That. And the makers of Baywatch deny that they're deliberately trying to appeal to every kind of sexual proclivity. On Ian Hislop's team, a man who last year got into trouble for calling the Prince of Wales a grovelling little bastard. He's now got the job writing speeches for Princess Diana. Spike Milligan. And with Paul Merton tonight, a former editor of the Sunday Times, who's quoted as saying, "Scottish people are more intelligent and understand bigger words," although that rather smacks of periphrastic ostentatiousity to me. Andrew Neil. And so to our opening film round, Ian and Spike, this week's dollop of sleaze for you.
Oh, that's William Waldegrave, pronounced liar.
But he's saying this way to the rifles.
The Scott report, which has been ages coming, has finally had a bit of it leaked about William Waldegrave. And it says Waldegrave attempted to deceive Parliament, and eventually he lied. And Waldegrave got incredibly upset and said, no, I didn't lie. But given he'd been called a liar, you don't know if that's true or not. But Waldegrave actually once said in front of a Foreign Affairs Committee that politicians do sometimes have to lie. So why is he so upset when someone says, well, you've lied? I don't understand any of this.
But he might have been lying when he said politicians sometimes have to lie.
In a last-ditch attempt to delay the inquiry, Whitehall mandarins delivered 200,000 documents outside Lord Justice Scott's office, and not for him to read, just so that he wouldn't get out. News of the leak has come at a very bad time for Mr. Major in the 1990s. Paul and Andrew, another troublesome Scot for you.
This is a Tory politician who used to have a future. That's Tony Blair.
Nicholas Scott.
MP for Chelsea.
Yeah, he backed into somebody's car and a child was trapped between the two cars.
No, what happened was that child managed to get in. He jammed himself between Nicholas Scott's car and this other car, and had the temerity to get in the way.
Kids today, eh?
I know, it's unbelievable. And what happened was that when he got out, his wife, who turned out to be his secretary, said, "Stop bubbling, you're not dead."
I mean, Nicholas Scott's the Minister for the Disabled, and I think he was just taking his job a bit literally.
It's all surprisingly true. It's the allegation that Tory MP Sir Nicholas Scott not only crashed his car while under the influence of alcohol, inadvertently shunting another car into a baby's buggy, but then selflessly buggered off, leaving his secretary to inform the baby's father that he was French scum. The Swiss banker, who was the object of this abuse, said never in his life had he ever been so insulted as to be called French. Sir Nicholas is now believed to have escaped to the little Cornish village of Rock. Villagers realised it was him when he parked his car at one end of the main street and the car at the other end toppled over into the sea. Ian and Spike, some more village people for you.
What?
Hello.
Just a minute, I'll give you the whole story. This is a man who planted mines in his garden as a burglar prevention. That's it. He hasn't caught a burglar yet, but he's lost his left arm.
Who is he?
He just told you he's a bloke who plants mines in his garden.
Yes, a bloke. I was hoping for slightly more than a bloke, if you could...
Well, how about Dick Small? That's what he'd end up with.
Our apologies to any Mr. Dick Smalls that are watching. How do you stand on doing this sort of thing to prevent burglars? Because you're not exactly lenient to intruders, are you, yourself?
Now you let them come and then you blow their brains out.
Which you did in 1974, I seem to believe, and ended up in court.
Yes, there was two boys broke into my garden hut. And I said to them, keep still, will you?
Are they dead now?
Partially.
It is the bizarre story of householder Joe Reeve from the village of Church Enstone in Oxfordshire, who, according to the local papers, has been repeatedly burgled by an unknown neighbour and has now decided to plant...
Dick Small.
Also not Mr. Dick Small, who has now decided to plant landmines in his garden. There are 163 houses in the village, of which 100 have been burgled recently, another 62 burglaries, and the police might begin to home in on a suspect. Paul and Andrew, some faintly familiar-sounding stories for you.
She's going on a diet, so that's what she looks like now. That's what she used to look like before she went on the diet. That's what she looks like now. Well, that's worth knowing. That was 24 inches across. Look at that. And there's Queen Victoria. It says she's written a book, or she's going to write a book about talking vegetables, which has got nothing to do with the royal family or anything like that. And she's writing in collaboration with Dick Small. And they're also going to do a film about Queen Victoria.
Who are?
Dick Small and Fergie.
Not entirely true,
They've formed a company called Fergie Dick Films. Which wasn't their first title, I can assure you.
No.
And that's the answer.
Do you know the name of the new TV cartoon series that she's...
Oh, it's probably something like Peter the Talking Pumpkin or something. Alan the Talkative Carrot. Brian the Brussels Sprout that never shut up.
It's,
No, but all these would be original. It can't be Fergie.
Oh, controversial. Not to say libelous.
She's making...
What, Andrew's
she's making
suggesting she's a plagiarist?
Well, I think you are now, Ian.
Yeah, but he only nicked the idea off him, so that makes him a plagiarist.
It's Fergie and her new TV cartoon series, which is called Sunnydale Tales, about life among a family of talking vegetables. No idea where she got that idea from.
Probably from Paul just now.
Yeah.
I'm sure so.
You've just done the same joke.
Yes, I was
plagiarism.
proud of it.
Yeah.
I just thought... But oddly, the laugh to your joke will go on the end of mine. The Duchess of York is currently involved in producing a Hollywood film about Queen Victoria. 20th Century Fox have assured the royal family that the film will present a historically authentic portrayal of the young Queen, a sentiment echoed by the actress chosen to play the title role, Whoopi Goldberg. which weighty matters herald the end of our first round, and the situation is that both sides are doing fantastically well, given the limited talent available, each one sharing maximum 4. However much you may be looking forward to round 2, no doubt barely at all, we're first obliged to dip a preliminary toe into the waters of our caption competition. Ian and Spike, you'll be getting this.
Oh, yes?
Paul and
Just
Andrew.
what I wanted.
Paul and Andrew, this for you. And so, for that familiar wet sock feeling of wading through deep sewage as we jump feet first into the world of the tabloids, for our headline round, Paul and Andrew. What sordid scenario is this? A P spells trouble.
Well, this was the man who was taking part in the urinating contest, where you have to sort of urinate against the clock, basically.
Call it European.
And he disappeared off to play a game of Scrabble, and when he came back, he found out he'd lost. Or the other way round.
Or the other way round.
Yes, he was playing Scrabble, he went for a piss, he came back, and the other bloke said, I've won. And he didn't like it, and he went to court, and he won £30 in damages or something.
90.
90. It's gone up.
And he had to pay 10,000 in costs.
Yeah.
8,000, in fact. Yes, and
It's gone down.
yes. Do you remember who
His
he
name
is?
was Goldman.
No, Richard Small. But his friends call him Mister.
Goldman is, in fact, the right answer. Yes. Do you remember what word the opponent used to win?
Yes, I do, thank you. Was it polyunsaturates?
Interestingly, not. No, it was scanners if you read the Daily Telegraph, or fanners if you read the Daily Express, or brick if you read the Sun. When Mr. Coleman finally got to the toilets, he found a queue outside the gents, a handy 10 points, which he slipped into his pocket for later. Ian and Spike, here we go. The question on everyone's lips for you. What has the fruit fly done to deserve this?
Well, I think I did read this one. This is about gay fruit flies, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
Might be.
They bred a gay fruit fly
That's right, yes.
in America
Yeah. No.
so that they can all join the armed services. A lot of gays aren't very happy about it because they say if you can isolate it, then you can stop people being gay.
I'm not very happy about it. And I'm not gay.
Well, good. Thank goodness for that.
Yes, thank you, goodness.
Welcome back. It's the latest research into the possibility that homosexuality is genetic. American scientists have managed to breed male fruit flies with homosexual tendencies, although they have so far been unable to create lesbian fruit flies. I suppose it's just impossible to find dungarees that size. Some of the gay fruit flies have recently been released to see how they behave in the wild. A huge swarm is now gathering outside Dale Winton's dressing room.
Is Dale Winton a fruit fly?
He's actually a television presenter. But,
He's done very well for himself, hasn't he?
he's one of the more...
Fruit fly 1 minute, television presenter the next.
Which gay abandon brings us to the rear end of this tabloid hell, and the scores are quite literally numerical. Ian and Spike and Paul and Andrew unable to advance on 6. So we succumb inevitably to the limpet tentacles of our odd one out round. Paul, your 4 favourites in declining order of respectability are Her Majesty the Queen, Judge Melford Stevenson, the World Health Organisation, and Courtney Love, lead singer of Hole.
Is this something to do with rock and roll? Because you've got a group called the Queen. You had a group called Queen. You had a group called WHO, which is the World Health Organisation. Judge what's his name?
Melford Stevens.
Judge Melford Stevenson. That was a super group in the 70s.
They've all been inoculated by the World Health Organization.
Apart from...
The WHO, the WHO, the World Health Organization. Am I wasting my bloody time? Well, I have a question at the end of that. Yes, you can go.
Thank you very much.
As Justice Melford Stevenson, the odd one out, because he's slept with everybody else, including the entire World Health Organisation.
Also untrue.
But not libelous, because I believe he's dead.
Not like, no, you can say what you like about him. He's
All right, then. He's the only one who didn't get up this morning.
I'm going to have to give you this one. The answer is that they've all slagged off the city of Manchester, apart from Courtney Love, who during a concert in April this year proclaimed, "I love this city, I love Manchester," a remark that somewhat startled the audience. She was actually in Sheffield at the time. When the Queen allegedly slagged off Manchester to an ecology student, Palace aides later claimed that what she'd actually said to him was, "Manchester is a good place to study ecological problems," or at least that's how they chose to interpret the phrase, "Manchester's a complete shithole." Andrew, your 4 cultural icons are Michael Aspel, Richard and Judy, Sooty, and the popular news quiz, Have I Got News for You?
And there's a nice photograph of you in the middle there, Angus.
Could be Sootie's the only one. He's in a TV show presented by a human.
Oh, hello. Yes, it started. Right.
It's been going on for quite some time. You just hadn't
I
noticed
noticed
it.
that, yeah.
I think this has got something to do with because Sooty got into trouble for having videos at the back of his in his programme advertising the Sooty video, and they got a problem over that. And I think Richard and Judy also. There was complaints about their programme because they were advertising some skincare product or something like that.
I think Sooty is the only one there who's got crabs.
In that case, you've got to feel sorry for Matthew Corbett, haven't you? Should we say Michael Aspel is the odd one out then?
Yes, do by all means, because that's the wrong answer. But I will give you one for getting the right reason. It's that all of their programmes have officially been found guilty of product placement, except, of course, If I Got News for You, which has never been in trouble for advertising products of any kind, and deplores this immoral form of supplementing revenue practiced by so many other shows. I hope that's made our position clear on that one. So, Spike, your curious bedfellows are a sheep, a pair of Wellingtons, a turd, and Ken Livingstone.
The sheep did it.
It's not a whodunit, Spike. It's odd one out.
Only one of them's rhyming slang for the Foreign Secretary.
No, it's not.
Ken Livingstone's the odd one out.
Why?
Don't know.
Because he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. The other three objects belong to him.
Is also not true. No, I'll give you it. It is, in fact, that all of them have been officially exhibited as art in a gallery or exhibition, with the exception of the Wellington boots. Damien Hirst famously exhibited a dead sheep in formaldehyde in a glass tank. Former GLC leader Ken Livingstone has been a live exhibit in an art exhibition.
One of the exhibits, I remember, it was a coffin with a match in it, and it said, "Dead match." £8,000. And wait a minute,
Astonishing. Did you buy it?
Somebody stole the match. And the price went down. Yeah, that's it. That's the end of my bit.
Thank you. There was recently an entire turd exhibition in Holland where people paid money to look at real turds, whereas if you come and see this show, it's free. And finally in this round, Ian, in case you fancy ending the series on a libel, here's all the ammunition you could ever need. Jeffrey Archer, Jason Donovan, Stuart Hall, and Christopher Biggins.
I'm afraid this is a shoplifting question. But it's a people who were accused of shoplifting but obviously didn't do it question. I hope that's clear. All of these people, Stuart Hall, Jason Donovan and Christopher Biggins, as I remember the stories, were entirely vindicated of the accusations of shoplifting.
And how clear would you like to make that?
Pretty clear, really.
Pretty clear, right.
Now, Jeffrey Archer...
He's a real...
I'd just like to put Jeffrey's case. Jeffrey was found, according to this recent biography, with some suits in a shop in Canada, which he'd walked out of the store inadvertently.
Inadvertently?
With.
The way you do.
But Jeffrey says he was not at the incident, there was no one there, and if there was someone called Jeffrey Archer, it was someone entirely innocent and different, and not him at all. So, take your pick.
Innocent, I say.
Innocent,
yes,
you say.
Innocent.
What about you, Spike?
Well, there's one part of the case with that poor prostitute who I felt very sorry for. And that judge who kept eulogising about Archer's wife. And
Justice Caulfield, you mean?
yeah, name the bugger. That's it. And this prostitute said that she remembered that Jeffrey Archer had a very pimply back. And that judge should have said to him, "Take your bloody shirt off and turn round and let's see." But no, there was an opportunity missed by this old creep, you know.
Yes.
Stuart Hall was the only odd one out because he was done for shoplifting.
Are you trying to get the points, Paul?
No, just helping things along.
Well, it's kind of you to try, but you're completely wrong. In fact, it is that all of them are alleged to have been arrested for shoplifting, but were subsequently cleared, with the exception of Jason Donovan, in fact, who openly confessed to the heinous crime of stealing a Kit Kat. According to a new biography, a man answering to Jeffrey Archer's description and name was caught by store detectives leaving a Toronto shop with 3 suits worth $540. Police entirely accepted his excuse that he'd made an understandable mistake, and so do our lawyers. Back in 1991, former It's a Knockout presenter Stuart Hall inadvertently walked out of a shop with goods he hadn't paid for. Apparently, a team of store detectives tried to stop him by throwing wet sponges and spraying foaming water down the escalator. Jason Donovan is the odd one out because he has admitted he once stole a bar of chocolate from a supermarket. They were going to incorporate the story into Neighbours, but decided it's a bit too complicated to follow. Which legal minefield brings us to the end of the third round, and the predicament now is that both teams are still locking horns, sharing as they do 7 points. And so we welcome with open jaws our final round. Missing words galore. What are they? Our guest publication this week, from which 1 or 2 rogue headlines may be untimely ripped, is the widely revered Hair Growers News, the specialist magazine for people who grow hair. So, away we go with The Woman I What by Prince Charles.
The Woman I Ate.
It was lost, I think. The woman I lost, down behind the sofa.
Let Go is in fact the right answer. Next, hair loss is the question of
What
what?
was he, hanging over a cliff or something?
I think he'd like to have
I
been.
think he may wish he hadn't, yes. No, hair loss is a question of what?
Of looking.
Sport.
Diet is the answer we were after. Next, vicar goes what at DIY funeral?
Nude.
Doolally.
No.
All right, vicar goes with hammer and nails.
Missing is the answer we weren't going to get. Next, rat droppings and sawdust inside what?
Is it counterfeit tea bags?
It's rat droppings and sawdust inside McDonald's hamburgers. Allegation denied.
Yes.
Rat droppings and sawdust inside Jeffrey Archer.
Bogus Tetley tea bags is in fact the right answer. Queen Mum uses golf buggy to what?
Carry her gin.
It's to run over fish.
Queen Mum uses golf buggy to run over fish. That's
It's
just
to walk the
ludicrous.
dogs. Walk the dogs.
It is walk the dogs.
No,
is the right
Queen
answer.
Mum uses
Well done.
golf buggy to... Oh, what a pity. It's a rat dropping, I was going to say.
Yes, if only, just a couple of seconds earlier. Never mind. Next, Baldies take their marks for the start of what?
Slapheads Derby. which will take on place on Wednesday and if wet in the Scout Hut.
Is
Why the
wrong
Scout
answer.
Hut?
Well, in case it's wet, if it's raining outside and you have the race inside.
But if you're a baldy, you're not worried about getting your hair wet.
Well, you've got to think about the
Like other
spectators, though, haven't
Nancy's in
you?
those sort of shirts.
You can't get loads of kids getting soaked to the skin and watching an old slaphead running around. Going home, they get pneumonia, they die, and all because you can't provide a Scout Hut.
Hair Growers of the Year competition is in fact
Oh, that's close.
what we
In
wanted.
a Scout Hut.
And finally, Labour will force Queen to open what?
Bank account.
Very decent.
Royal Palaces.
Is the right answer, which...
I thought mine was funnier.
It was.
Yeah, unfortunately, no points for
But
funny.
he's very keen
What's
to win.
funny about opening a royal palace? It costs you £6 to go in. And you buy this Prince Albert shaving mug, which he used to hold up his moustache. So, well, who's got a moustache these days? They're buying these bloody mugs, and every morning they're doing
That
this.
bloke's got a moustache.
Get out! You're ruining the story.
Which guessing games mark the end of this programme, not to say series, although I just have, so it's too late. And the bare facts are that this week's grovelling little bastards are Ian and Spike with 11, while this week's Prince Charmings are Paul and Andrew with 13. An exhibit from the Tate Gallery to our winners, an exhibit from the Turd Gallery to our losers. But before we all head for the departure gate, we must first deal with the excess baggage that is our caption competition. Ian and Spike, what do you make of this?
British Gas Board try and extract more money from customer.
Novel way to start travelling to Australia.
Sex conference, spot the Tory MP.
Thank you. Paul and Andrew, this was yours.
Trevor Brooking's gone mad. Government warns milk may be contaminated.
Move your head up this way, it's not that long.
On which cataclysmic note we say thank
Man
you.
teaches cow to drink bath water.
Cow teaches man to sit in bath.
Man interrupts Angus and gives us all a good laugh.
Which is why we now say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Spike Milligan, Paul Merton and Andrew Neil. And I leave you with news that Birds of a Feather have unveiled the replacement to play the woman next door who can't get enough...
That'll be a retake, won't it?
That'll be a retake, yes. Okay. And I leave you with news. Yes,
Yeah,
again.
leave us with some
I'll leave you with news.
What are birds of a feather up to these days?
Tell us about that.
Apparently, they've unveiled a replacement to play the woman next door who can't get enough sex.
Really?
It
went very well.
Yes, I thought so. At the main office of the Midland Bank, spokesmen admit perhaps it wasn't such a good idea to give the security contract for the computer room to Group 4. And on his way to the doctors, Luciano Pavarotti is warned that he may have been a little overgenerous with his sample. Good night.
The Caustic Wit will be in full flow again in the autumn, and at 10 o'clock next Friday, the return of Monty Python's Flying Circus.